SEAR NuWave oven recipes. Today I'm going to be cooking up some beef ribeye steaks in the NuWave Breville XL Smart Oven using a multi-stage sear feature so that those beef ribeye steaks get cooked up real nice, and we'll see how that sear feature works. And so I'm going to get started on those steaks right now. Okay, so I've got myself some beef ribeye steaks. They're boneless, USDA prime. So give you a good look at the label there. And so basically I'm going to start getting these prepped. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just get them out the pack, get them onto the into this pan here. Alright, now that I've got them on this pan is just really for prepping. When I'm actually doing my cook, I'll have them on this baking, well, on the grill rack that is inside of the baking pan for the NuWave Breville XL. But let me just show you the rest of the ingredients that I have here. The steaks, it's about 2.6 pounds of steak, so a little over 2.5 pounds of steak. I've got some cooking spray that I'm just going to use to basically spray the grill rack of this NuWave Breville. Even though I'm going to be using oil in the steaks, I'm still going to spray this anyway. But I will be using some extra virgin olive oil on the steaks. I've also got here some hickory smoked salt, and I'll be using my pepper grinder to grind some fresh black pepper. So the first step in getting these steaks, these ribeye steaks prepared for the NuWave Breville, is to just get some oil poured out over the steaks. And I'm just gonna put oil on both sides and just cover them. Alright, now that I've got my oil on both sides, I'm just going to take my salt and just shake it on this side, flip them, well, get my salt and pepper on this side, then flip and get salt and pepper on the opposite side. With steaks, you want to go generous on the salt, even though they have a lot of salt in meat. You want to, for flavor's sake, you got to get a good bit of salt in there. And this hickory smoked salt is good stuff. Going to flip over. It's going to put some salt and pepper on the opposite side. Okay, now that I've got these steaks all prepared, what I'm going to do next, very important step, I'm going to wait about 25 minutes. You want to have your steak setting out for about 30 minutes at room temperature before you start cooking it, so that it is well warmed up and you're not cooking very cold steak. It cooks better when you start it at a warmer cooking temperature. So let it just warm up for about 25-30 minutes, depending on how long you took in preparations and such. Give it about 30 minutes to warm up. So I'm going to give it about another 25 minutes, and then I'll show you how I'm going to get the oven, the smart oven, all started up and get things going here. Alright, the steaks have been setting out for about 30 minutes or so now. So I'm going to get started, but before I do, I wanted to just explain how the sear feature works and how I'm going to be using it in this cook. The sear feature has three different modes or methods you could use. The first one is sear 1. If you just press the sear button and start, it does 450 degrees 5 minutes, and then 350 degrees 10 minutes, and then it stops. I'm going to be using the SEAR 1-2 method. That's the second option. When you press SEAR 2 times, it does 450 degrees 5 minutes, then drops down to 350 degrees for 10 minutes, then goes back up to 450 degrees for 5 more minutes. I'm going to be using that, and before it gets to that last 5 minutes, I'm going to be checking my temperature with meat probes throughout the cook. So when it gets to that last 5 minutes, I want to make sure that my food temperature is at least 135 degrees, and I'll probably flip them over and let it sear on that other side for that last 5 minutes, and Lord willing get up to a nice 150 degrees medium well is what I'm going for as my target. 155 is actually fully well done. I'm going to do medium well for this cook. And option 3, which I won't be using, but I'll just explain for stage. If you hit stage 3 times, it does what is called a SEAR 2, where it just does 10 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit and then goes up to 450 degrees for 5 minutes, I guess kind of giving you a reverse sear. But the key is to, before it gets to that final sear, to adjust your time to make sure that you get the temperature that you want for your meat. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on my temperature and adjusting the temp as needed if I need to. So now I'm just going to get these steaks onto the grill rack here and get some meat probes in them. So now I've got my meat probes in. You can see that my meat temperature is hovering around the 50, upper 40 to 50 degree mark. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this grill off, and then I can open the door to the NuWave Breville XL Smart Oven. I've got the rack up on the third up from the bottom. So there's the third rack up. See if I can get in here with all my meat probes. Alright, got everything in comfortably. We will not be doing any preheat. We're just going to cook away till we get things where we want them to be. So now I've got my steaks in the NuWave Breville XL Smart Oven. I'm going to give you a better look. Alright, going to give you a better look at what I'm doing here. So to start the NuWave Breville, you hit the on-off button. So now things are on, and now I'm just going to hit the sear button twice to get to that 1-2 sear. So now you see there's a sear up there, there's a 1 that's solid, and there's 2 that's blinking. So I know I'm at my sear 1-2 option. And so I'm just going to hit start and let the cook commence, and I'll bring you back in a bit. Alright, we're coming to the final seconds of the first 450 degree part of the sear, and it just finished at 450 degree 5-minute run. And the steaks, they're a little browned over on top. They're a little browned over on top there. After that, the meat temperature are still around the 50 degree mark. They're still holding that cold inside of them. So this is the point where I'm going to let things cook until I get to 130 degrees internal meat temperature. Then I'm just going to open up flip and let them run that last 5 minutes. So basically what I'm going to do, depending on where they're at after things get down to the last few minutes, I'm just going to be turning this dial here up to add time until I get to my desired 130 degree internal meat temperature. But I'll be bringing you on back in a bit. Alright, so things have been cooking for about 22 minutes at 350. So that was after the first 5 minutes at 450. So basically what I've got is a interesting mix of temperatures going on. My 2 in the back, the one in the back on the left is at 144 degrees. The one in the back on the right is at 147. The 2 in the front are coming along slower. So at this point what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and try and sear off the 2 in the back at least. So I'm hitting pause on the cook here, and I'm going to just try and flip. I'm just going to try and flip them all at this point. Whoa. Those weak racks. Do it again. Set it down. Just going to flip them all. You can see I don't really have a hard, got a little char on some of them there, but nothing really hard and solid. Sorry about my probe back there making that background noise. I'll try and silence that in a sec here. Now I'm going to just go ahead and try and get these back in, and then I'll lower the time so that it defaults to the next part of the sear where it does the next 450 degree sear. You got to be careful with the racks on this thing. They're kind of weak until you get it in good. Push that here. Make sure I got things level and straight. Alright. Until you get things way in the back good, you got to be careful with those, with the racks. They're a little unstable. And I hit the start button again, now I've got things cooking again, and so I'm going to lower my time to 0. So my 450 degree, the last part of my 450 degree sear runs. Some of those steaks are going to run a bit over, and I don't mind well done much, but my iGrill sure does. So I'm basically going to let them cook for this last, well, I got one at 165. I'm going to let these continue to cook here. I don't really mind well done personally. I know some of you, you've got to have it rare, you got to have it medium rare, you got to have it medium well, what have you. But basically from what you're seeing here, you can see how things operate. It looks like now all of them are showing a lot warmer than they were before, now that I flipped them over. So I've got one that's supposedly right here still going up to like 197, which is, I don't really believe that. I don't really believe it's at 203 at this point, and the others are just in the 130s to 150. That one, I think I got a little false read going on there. But anyway, going to let these run for a little while longer. Well, I think I'm going to pull all of them except for the one that's here in the front. So let me get something to get these off with. Alright, so we don't get to fully complete that sear part because we got meat that's really cooked. And the sear that it does do is a light one to begin with anyway, so take it for what it's worth. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one. This was the probe 1. He was consistently hot. I'm going to also pull this one, who's also on the back. That back heat's hotter, so I know they're good to go as far as done. These two, 2 and 4, are suspect in my opinion. So, oh, my meat probe fell out. No wonder that one went over 200. Okay, that explains a lot. So, see if I can, without burning myself, get the meat probe in. So, put the meat probe back in. Alright. Just going to leave these two and let them play around in the heat some more while they're getting their searing and such. Let's see what happens. Go ahead and get that going. So those are going to continue rolling at 450. Their temperature is showing 135 and 141, so that's in a good place. I'm going to, basically when you get your meat out, whenever you get meat out, you want to let it just rest for about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to let these two rest about 10 minutes, that reabsorbs the juices, and I'll continue to work with those other ones there, depending on how they fare. So I'll bring you on back in a bit. Alright, so they've been running for about 6 minutes at 450 on that sear, and I turned it up to give them a more sear, which really goes beyond the manufacturer's design, and I'm starting to get a lot of smoke. So at this point, I'm going to stop. My temperature on my meat is at 148, 146, but I'm going to basically just stop them there. They're going to be a little before medium well, but I'm hoping that maybe carryover heat and I'm just setting in there for a bit will do the job, but really don't adjust the sear beyond the 5 minutes allowed. You see what happens if you do, you're going to get a lot of smoke. So I shouldn't have done that. That was a fault on my part, adjusting the sear up to go for more than 5 minutes at that 450. So I made some excess smoke myself on that one. I won't blame NuWave for that because they designed it to not go that long. But I think these are getting pretty good and done. I'm going to just go ahead and pull them now. They're pretty good to go. I'm going to pull both of them that are left here and get them out here and let them rest for 10 minutes. Alright, so there are our steaks after they've been cooking in the NuWave Breville. They did 5 minutes at 450, then cranked the temperature down to 350, and they did 22 minutes. and then they did about another 5 or 10 minutes at the 450 sear, but don't go beyond 5 minutes on the sear. So basically the first set were really done after about near 30 minutes, and the other ones took a little over 30, but as I mentioned, don't let them in sear go over the 5 minutes. So maybe wait till things are within like maybe just 5 degrees of your target range and let the sear run. It might not run the last 5 whole minutes, but you got to kind of play with that and avoid that smoke issue. So just gonna let these rest some more, and then we'll do some cutting and plating and taste testing. Alright, so these last two have had some time to rest now. So I'm gonna take one of the ones that got the extra char here and got to cook longer. You can probably get a look at some of that. And I'm gonna take one that was pulled earlier. Didn't get as much of the sear because it was pulled earlier, had to be pulled earlier. So when you're cooking your steaks, you probably want to keep them closer to the front till you're ready to sear them, then put them in the back. But if you're cooking a whole bunch, then you got to do what you got to do. I'm just going to cut these two in the middle. You can see that medium well inside there. I Grill 2 does it again. That one has that medium well. This one looks, it's medium well, but it looks like it's a lesser degree of medium well than that one, but they're both done medium well. I'm going to go ahead and just take a slice off of this and just cut it for some taste testing. Now I'm going to get just a slice off of this one here. I'm going to do the same for this guy. Slice them down the middle and slice them like that. I like to taste things straight up, but if you like something with your steak, then of course that's up to you. I'm going to get the camera flipped around and start taste testing these ribeyes. Alright, so here's our steak. These are the ones that came off first. These are the ones that came off second. I'll just taste some of the one that came off first. It's nice tender meat there. Now I'm going to try the one that came off second, got a little more char on it. Now that one's very good also, I guess because it got a little more char, just a little better flavor on that one, but this one's very good flavored as well. They're both winners, but the one that got a little more sear, just a little more. Anyway, this is how you do it if you want to do some steaks in the NuWave Breville XL Smart Oven. You can, adjust things to your liking to get the sear that you like and get things hooked up the way you want it. And so, this other recipes are at superwaveovenrecipes.com. I'm on Twitter at waveovenrecipes. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. The Amazon shop is amazon.com/shop/waveovenrecipes. Share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and good eating.